Two games, two blowouts, and just 2 points separating the Spurs and Rockets as they tip tonight for Game 3. Sekou Smith is posted up in Houston ahead of the third installment. Sekou, Tony Parker, as you know, had surgery today. He's out for the rest of the playoffs. How are the Spurs likely to distribute his minutes and his ball handling responsibilities moving forward?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt it's next man up for the Spurs as always. And, Patty Mills gets a lot of that responsibility shifted onto his shoulders. He's a guy who's played really well this season. If you look at the way they've played when he's been on the floor, they've been exceptional. So it's going to be a lot more Patty Mills, obviously, but certainly Jonathan Simmons and perhaps even DeJounte Murray, the rookie, will get a chance to see some action. But Greg Popovich has had tons of experience with, having to make adjustments in the postseason, Matt, and figuring out different ways to put different guys into that lineup. I don't think they're going to have a problem with who to choose. It's just going to be a matter of if those guys can be as effective as Tony Parker.
Sekou, when you watch, like you talked about the Spurs, who's the next man up, but I saw the combination of Pau Gasol and LaMarcus Aldridge. Was there any talk down there in Texas about those two playing a little bit more and them playing bigger?
Well, Smitty, I think there's a ton of talk about LaMarcus playing bigger. He hasn't been the impact player that the Spurs have needed in this series, and really all season he's been kind of up and down. Didn't have a typical LaMarcus Aldridge all-star type season, and I think if the Spurs are serious about advancing in this round and moving on, they got to have LaMarcus Aldridge playing at a much higher level than he's shown so far. It's one of those things where, you wish for a big free agent splash, and that's not something that the Spurs have done routinely. But when they got LaMarcus, it was with him in mind to take over the role that Tim Duncan had played in terms of the anchor in the middle of that floor, and it hasn't happened this season.
Sekou, this is Grant. We talk about San Antonio, but on the flip side, Houston, James Harden, not having the best of series, 16.5 points a game, 30% from the field, 29%. Obviously, a lot of talk about Kawhi Leonard and how he's defending. Are you hearing anything out of Houston's camp, any concern about Harden and his play and whether he can get things back on track here in Game 3?
Yeah, no concerns, Grant, about the way he's playing. Obviously, it's been a long season. He shouldered a huge burden for the Rockets, and now he's dealing with, the guy that most people think is the best individual defender in the league. So he's got a different challenge in this series than he's had in any other. But I do think that if you're the Rockets, you are concerned a little bit about fatigue and hoping that all of the minutes and all of the grind of this year has not caught up to James Harden now in a situation where he's going to be dealing with Kawhi Leonard night after night. That's a ton of pressure on him. He's got to find his other guys and make sure they're playing well and then not, abandon the aggressiveness and effectiveness that's helped him all season long.
Yeah, raise your hand if you predicted that at any point during this series, Clint Capella would be leading the Rockets in scoring. Anybody? No. Wildly different games and results so far. So what are the Rockets hoping to do to swing the pendulum back in their favor tonight?
Well, they got to get three-point shots up, Matt, and that's no secret. It's not like they're trying to trick anybody in terms of how they want to play. I don't think we can overstate the importance of this weekend, though, in this series. If you're Houston and you come home with that split from San Antonio, now is a chance to put a stranglehold on this series. You go up 3-1 and go back to San Antonio, and there's no Tony Parker to deal with. You put a ton of pressure on the Spurs to hold serve at home. And if you get there and you get down to the wire in a close game with the guys you have on this Houston roster, you got to feel good about your chances of finishing the series in. But you got to take care of business here first. This is a huge game tonight, another huge one Sunday. You take care of business in both of those games, you got a chance to move on if you're the Rockets and get ready for the conference finals.
Such a wild series so far. Should be entertaining tonight. Sekou, we appreciate it. Sekou Smith with us from Houston, deep in the heart.